Alex Quinn Davis is up there with all the other quarterbacks from the Trinity League when you talk about speed and being able to run the football. So I think St. John Bosco, even though you lose Josh Rosen, and that's as big of a loss as you can get at the high school level, I still think you have a dominant offense, and that defense is just going to get better. So look for St. John Bosco to be a contender once again for a CIF state championship next year. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We got Round 2 coming up Friday night.
That's right. And another thing that really makes me excited about this coming postseason with St. John Bosco is the play of a man that nobody's talking about. And he's ending up putting up numbers similar to the Bosco Braves of last year. DJ Willis, second in the Pac-5 in tackles with 126, not to mention has rallied with 3 sacks and has some critical game-changing plays, including a couple to end the Trinity League. And then others not to mention is a man who leads the Braves in sacks, and Jacob Gallier with 8. Nobody's even mentioning the play of these defensive guys. The defense hasn't played all that well, but Dan, you mentioned in bunches, they do play pretty well.
They do. The thing about DJ Willis is we're going to hear Chris's voice go up and pitch all the time when he lays down a hit. It seems like every single game he makes at least one highlight hit.
Yeah.
And the thing about Gallier is he's got a great linebacking core backing him up. He's got DJ Willis backing him up. So when he's coming in on a blitz, well, they've got to pick him up. And that leaves some room for him to get around the tackles. And so, hey, it's been a team effort for Boston for sure, because it's not just one guy that stood out. And we said that's the leader of the defense. It's actually been the whole squad. They've been together in gang tackling. So it's a team effort for the Boston defense.
It's a team effort, of course, for the number 1 team in the state of California, according to Max Prep's rankings. But another deal that the Braves are looking at, scoreboard watching, is the other 3 games coming up Friday night. It's prediction time here on the National Sports Radio station. Of course, we all believe that the Braves will take down Norco High School, but let's start, and we'll go with Chris Sylvester. Long Beach Poly, home against Crespi High School in round number 2. What are your takes on that game?
I just think Crespi and Poly are very similar offensively. Both teams really like to run the football. Eric Sonheimer sent out a nice little tweet earlier this week that said he'd be surprised if both teams pass the ball more than 10 times in the game. I think it's going to be a real low-scoring game between Crespi and Long Beach Poly, but Crespi's hot. Crespi, like I mentioned earlier, or last show rather, the only game that they lost this year was by 1 point against the very good Cardenas Bear team. And, might as well write that off the books. Crespi could very well have gone into the postseason undefeated. So you look at their 10-1 record right now, they could very easily be 11-0. Long Beach Poly, they play the Moore League. They're a little bit overrated each and every year. Servite kind of proved that this year. Servite blew a late league in that one against Long Beach Poly. So I'll take Crespi in this one by 10 points.
Yeah, you take a look at what Long Beach Poly's resume is this year. Obviously, it was impressive a couple of years ago, taking down the Braves, and it'd be great to have that St. John Bosco and Long Beach Poly rematch next week if that were to come into fruition, per se. But, Dan, you've taken a look at Poly's resume, and it's not really all that impressive.
It isn't all that impressive, but it is a more formidable team against Crespi, I would say. Crespi, we don't hear much about their defense. We hear all the rave about that three-headed monster that they have at running back and that power running game, but what about the offense? I mean, their defense. With Poly, we hear about it all the time. They're known for their defense, and then this year, they have the best quarterback in the Pac-5, arguably. Statistically, yes. But, so I feel like Poly will come out the winner in this one, 21-15.
Obvious low-scoring game, and it may be the same exact deal over down there in Mater Dei High School as they will clash against Centennial High School. And really, Chris, I don't know what to take, either a great defense or an offense that has always been amazing to watch.
I think you got to take the defense in this one. I just think Carl and Centennial, it's almost like they play pickup football, They just run that offense very quickly. They don't take a lot of time in between snaps, and I think Mater Dei, the way their offense moves, they're going to slow down the tempo the game, and it's definitely going to favor the Monarchs. Monarchs another game at home, big opening round win. Centennial, I mean, they allowed 64 points to Gardena Serra. Obviously, maybe Gardena Serra a little bit better of an offense than Mater Dei, but I see what Mater Dei winning this one. And frankly, I don't see it being all that close. I see Mater Dei in a 2-possession game with the W.
Yeah, I take Crespi to go along with Mater Dei as the two victors out of that ball game. And another very entertaining matchup, Bishop Amat and J. Serra in round 2 of the Pac-5 playoffs. Winner will clash against most likely Mater Dei High School in round number 3. And Dan, your takeaway from J. Serra's impressive Trinity League run. They beat everybody except for Bosco, and they very easily could beat Bishop Amat as well.
Let's be honest, J. Serra is a Trinity League team, and so they're far more superior. Let's just be blunt about it. Bishop Amat, they don't know anything about them. It's a team that's not going to be able to hold their own against J. Serra. J. Serra is actually one of the top teams in the country, I would say.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, J. Serra wins big, 56-14.
Wow, not even close. Bishop Amat, aren't they a formidable offense at the very least, Chris?
Yeah, Bishop Amat, they're formidable defense, too. Their defense is actually their strong suit, and they were a team that shared the Mission League title with Crespi and with Serra. So, I mean, this is a team that can compete with the best in Southern California. So I think Amat will give J. Serra a very good game, but I'll take J. Serra by 7 points.
7 points. It's going to be a fun week 2, and I think we all can expect at least one upset, given that we had 3 in round 1 of the Pac-5 playoffs. It's going to be a fun one to watch, and really, I think we could expect all 4 of these games to come into the fourth quarter. It's going to be great here on the National Sports Radio Station on Spreaker.com. Again, thank you all for joining us for the discussion, as this is just the beginning of what will be a great postseason, not only for high school, but for JUCO as well. In junior college, you have 2 all-star matchups coming out of Southern California. First and foremost, and it's its favorite time of the day, it's Riverside City College time. Dan, the man, your thoughts about the Tigers 9-1 and the number 1 team entering into the playoffs. Again, rankings mean nothing. It's a brand new year coming up against Ventura College. Your thoughts about that game?
Well, as expected, Riverside, they received number 1 seeded by the CCCAA, going 9-1, 6-0 in the National Central Conference, and they will. How about a 30-game winning streak, possibly this weekend at Wheelock Stadium? That'd be really special to reach that number. So that's at stake against Ventura. Ventura squeaking by into the playoffs. A lot of controversy behind that. Long Beach City College getting snubbed. Exactly. And that's my take on it. I think Riverside will cruise past Ventura and face. Well, I'll give you my prediction later on.
Hold your horses there, because I do want to get Chris's take, first and foremost, on what Dan mentioned to be the glorious CCCAA, and how they, at the very last moment, came to their senses by the skin on their teeth, putting Mount Sac into the postseason.
You look at the head-to-head. Sure, Long Beach got the big victory over the Mounties, but here's the thing when it comes down to it. You look at Long Beach's strength of schedule, non-conference. They didn't play very impressive teams. They played a Bakersfield team that went 5-5. They played a Moore Park team that went 2-8. They played a decent Palomar team that went 6-4. This was a team that wasn't challenged very much in the non-conference slate, and that's what really hurt them when it came to the power ranking index. And the CCCAA did not decide whether Mount Sac or Long Beach got in. It was the power ranking index with the strength of schedule, the points that the team scored, their position in the poll. Mount Sac got 1 more vote than Long Beach City College did in the final poll of the Southern California Football Association season, and that's the reason that the Mounties are in, and we'll be taking on Fullerton at 1 p.m. at Yorba Linda High School Saturday right here on the National Sports Radio Station.
And what's great is that really, if Long Beach City College were to, 1, win a 4-point ball game against Chaffey, or 2, win by more than just a mere touchdown against Citrus College, we could be looking at Long Beach City into the postseason. Boy, would that just be a disaster if you're Mount Sac. And really, you're looking, I'm sure, the Mounties. Of course, you have this big ball game you mentioned against Fullerton College, but if you were to face a Riverside team that could very well match up against you next week, it's a ball club riddled with off-the-field issues, all starting with the academic allegations. Deshaun Broughton comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure what's going down at Riverside right now. Terrence Solomon also been talked about, too, doing some interesting things down there at Riverside. So, I don't know what's going on off the field there, but if Riverside wants to win their first state championship since 1800, they better get their act together.
1800 or 1978, both of which are just as far away for a ball club that could very well see their state championship in jeopardy to the same level that Bakersfield did 2 years ago when they got their championship win revoked due to allegations that really has set the franchise back about a half decade. They're still in the process of recovering from that, and it's the same deal with the Ventura team that finally, Dan, is getting back into the fold. They have won 22 of their last 32 ball games, and they have an offense that's pretty darn good, but of course, they have to travel to the brick wall, that being the jungle, where that defense will never let anything go.
Yeah, even with second figures out there, Riverside seemed like a far more superior team last week. I mean, they did it with a bunch of guys in the lower parts of the depth chart, and that's what Ventura's got to come out with. They do have a solid running game, but the talent gap is so wide that they won't be able to compete. And that's their problem. I mean, unfortunately, the road ends here.
Yeah, we'll definitely get more on that matchup in a bit. Of course, in the junior college football rankings now, that we're in the postseason, it's Mount Sac against Fullerton and Riverside against Ventura. The 2 and 3 is the Mounties of Mount Sac against Fullerton College. And just to touch a little bit on this ball game, Fullerton's led by a man who's really tearing it up out of the National Southern Conference. Joey Vernay finished the year with over 2,300 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 6 picks. And he really has led a Fullerton team, despite not getting the recognition, has played very well offensively, even with that running game much below par. Khalil Wilson edges that running attack, but boy, you take a look at what Mount Sac has to face defensively, and it's an offense that is all one-sided in favor of the passing game. Your thoughts about that game?
Well, I mean, this is we talked about Centennial Mater Day, and how those teams met up early in the season, and Mater Day took it to them. Same thing here with Mount Sac and Fullerton. Mount Sac, a 24-point victory against the Hornets all the way back in week 2, which seems like forever ago, and as it should be, because in talking to the Mountie head coach, Coach Bob Jastrab today, he believes that Fullerton College has gotten a lot better, and obviously not easy to play on the road in the postseason. So, and it's going to be a day game too. It might be a little bit of a trap game, even though it's round 1 of the playoffs. So I'm sure the Mounties are, looking at there's a great possibility that they'll be up against Riverside in the Southern California Championship game the following week. So, Mounties can't overlook Fullerton College, but the talent gap is just very wide between the Hornets and Mount Sac. And, even if Mount Sac doesn't, play a perfect game out there on the field, I still see them walking away with a fairly easy victory.
Well, what's amazing for Coach Jastrab, who has won, mind you, 85% of his games, the first ever junior college coach to reach 100 wins in 10 seasons or less. Jastrab makes something out of nothing. Former Orange Coast College running back Omar Stolbert ends up going to Walnut and posting nearly 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns. He has been a valiant receiver as well. He's number 2 in the National Central Conference in running, not to mention former Hawaii University of Hawaii quarterback, mind you, Justin Allo. Very similar story there. 20 touchdowns passing the football. He's made a whole lot out of next to nothing, which is why, and I'm sure Dan will agree, it's a very one-sided affair in this matchup. You think Fullerton has any sort of chance? And if so, I think it's going to happen defensively.
Well,